Hello everyone, welcome back to House of Chi Yoga. Today I'm going to bring you the first word that came to mind was more aggressive, but that's not a very yoga-esque word. So not aggressive, but a little strong flow, a little get the body heart rate going. We'll add some different plyometrics in today and just have fun with it. So before we begin, let's just bring a little bit of focus to our day, a little bit of awareness, and let's do that with some breath work. So let's take our fingertips to the floor and just give the floor a little tap as you inhale big. Fill up all the space in the body you can reach. And then exhale, release. Let the chin hang to the chest. Inhale, bring the palms up and overhead. Exhale, hands to the floor, chin down. One more time, inhale, lift. Interlace the fingers, press them up towards the ceiling. Any movement you want to find here. Keep filling up the space with the inhales. And then we'll release hands down and across for a little self-hug. You can use the fingertips for a massage. I usually go up higher. Actually, I'll just go over my mic. I was worried my arms would cover my mic, but you can just reach a little bit higher. Okay, and then just any kind of shaking or releasing you need to get out. I like releasing through my fingertips, my hands, and then we'll come to stillness. Finding your sitting bones. And then sitting nice and tall on top of the sitting bones, feeling the shoulders stack right over the hips and the hips right over the sits bones. Our pelvic bowl is centered, is neutral. So if you imagine the top of the pelvic bowl was actually a bowl of water, we don't want that water tipping forward or tipping back, but just nice and flat on the surface, keeping our spine nice and long and keeping the pelvis neutral. From there, we have lots of space we can fill up with the breath. Focusing on the inhales, on the expansion, on the creation, the life-giving of the breath. Slowing the inhales down and adding a count of 4. So we'll inhale together for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Continue with your inhale. Continue with your count. And we'll just take a few more breaths like this. When you get to the bottom of the next exhale, you can start moving the fingertips and the toes. Bring the peace fingers to the eyelids. Let the weight of the head fall forward. And then as you bring the head back up, just take the fingertips and brush across the brows, brush across the forehead, and then down the sides of the face, down the sides of the neck, and away from the body. We're going to go into one more little breath work pattern, but it's going to be a little bit, again, that word aggressive came to mind. I don't know what it is with that word today, but a little bit more energetic breath work. I'm going to keep my hands to my knees, but flip them down so I have something to hold on to. Keeping the spine nice and long, we're going to work a deep belly breath, a deep fire breath. So we'll inhale together, we'll empty together, we'll inhale 3/4 of the way, And then we're going to work that deep, active exhale. So I'm focusing on the exhalation, snapping my navel to my spine. I'm actually going to roll my shirt up here so you can see. So I'm working on the squeeze, not necessarily rounding like I just did, but just pulling your navel back to your spine, engaging the belly muscles, and using that pull to empty out any stale air, any old air we need to get rid of. So we'll do about 20, and then we'll hold, and then we'll go into another set of 20, hold, and then one more set of 20. So let's inhale together here. Exhale, empty everything out. Inhale, 3/4. Active exhale, fire breath. On the 20th, you release. You take some natural, normal inhales. And we're going to move back into the next set pretty quickly. Inhale all the way. Exhale to empty. Inhale, 3/4. Next set of 20. On the 20th, you release. Natural, normal breathing. And then finishing with our third set. Big inhale to fill. Big exhale to empty. Inhale, 3/4. Active exhale. Finishing off with your breath. You can lean forward. Anything you need here for a moment to resettle. Heart rate might have come up a little bit. You can feel the breath going deeper into the body. And then we'll walk the hands up and extend the legs forward. Let's get right into some movement after that active breath work. So I'm going to just give the legs a little shake, move the feet around, circle the ankles. Let's do the same thing with the wrist. You can press the hands into the floor, add some rotation through the shoulders, and then we'll start moving through the spine. Any direction. The spine only moves a few different directions, so just imagine, okay, where does my spine move? From front to back, side to side, and twist. And that's the direction we want to start moving things. Coming back through center, let's bring our feet together to a Baddha Konasana. And just add a little pressure from the elbows, a little resistance as you push, pull through the legs. Feel the inner leg lengths, feel the hips starting to activate. And then pay attention to the feet for a moment. Just wiggle between the toes, massage the bases of the foot, kind of wake the whole foot up. You can bring the toes towards the shins for a stretch, and then bring the toes down for a stretch. Ooh, some nice cracks and pops there. Legs extended one more time. Bring one heel in, sit up nice and tall, and then switch. If your heel doesn't come close to your butt yet, that's okay. Just bring it in wherever it lands. We're just starting to move to get into the hip flexors. Now we're going to start leaning back farther and extending. You can feel a little bit more core activation here. Maybe for the last few, you want to float the leg a little bit longer. Maybe try not to even touch the floor with the heel. And then we'll hold, palms facing up towards the ceiling. My shoulders are behind my hips. I'm going to reach forward, pull navel to spine, and really activate the legs here. So I'm pressing the back of my knee joints down. I'm feeling my hips. I'm feeling my core. I'm feeling lots of things happening right now. Keep the hips active as you inhale, bring the palms up and overhead. And then exhale, pull back through. It's a crunch, hold. Inhale, palms lift. Exhale, pull back through. One more time, inhale. Exhale, forward fold this time. If you can reach your toes, you can give them a little pedal. And then we'll come unroll, cross the ankles, and find quadruped position. From here, tuck the toes underneath, add some pressure into the feet, and let the feet bounce the hips back forward. So you're actually pushing the foot, the ball of the foot, into the ground. And then we'll stay at the top and figure eight the hips. Start engaging those deep oblique muscles. So as I'm moving right to left, I'm getting some nice stretch and mobility in the back, and the QL muscles in the belly. But then I'm going to start activating those belly muscles as well. Coming back through center, we'll go one hand opposite toe, just reaching. And we're going to coordinate with our breath. So it's a quicker breath here. We inhale, exhale, You'll feel the fire of the breath starting up again. Keep your navel to your spine, core is active. If you want, you start extending up. Now it's off the floor, it's deeper back body work. Still working with the breath. Let's go a few more. Last one, coming back through center, straight into a cat-cow spine. Active through the arms here. Index fingers are forward, elbow creases are pressing forward. Feel the space and the opening through the back body, through the torso. Feel the mobility of the spine, and then all the way through the neck as well. Let's go one more. Intentional rounding, squeeze navel to spine, massage the belly organs, any kind of moving, keep exhaling and empty. And then we'll take some big movements through the hips. Feet stay active and flexed. And I'm going to lift up using the glutes, round with the core, and then squeeze my knee towards my chest. Whichever direction you're going, let's just move in the opposite direction now. And coming back through center, stay on top of the toes. So my toes are tucked under. And I'm just going to walk it on back here. Flip the wrists. You can take them to the floor here and pull back into a round for a stretch. Some people can take them to their, what are these called? My legs. Your legs here. Ooh, I haven't done that one for a while. That feels like a very deep stretch. Oh man, my forearms. Let's take one more breath here. My forearms need it. And then gently releasing from there. And I'm going to need some movement on my wrists. I do a lot of work with my hands, so that was much needed. I need to do that every day. Okay, let's go directly into our downward facing and just start moving around. So from here, you can pedal. You can push the hips right to left. You can take some big circles, plank to down dog. If you're doing circling, we go both directions. And then you can also start rolling through the spine. I'm going to come into a little baby cobra because I've actually already done some movement today, so I'm ready to go into a cobra. If you're just waking up, or if you're just getting moving, or if you've been sitting for a long time, go ahead and roll towards a plank position and not all the way into cobra yet. Not until it feels like it's nice and warm through the spine. So we're going to add on a little bit more. We're going to roll forward to plank and then shoot the knees wide, toes untucked, child's pose. Inhale as you roll forward, bring the knees back together, open up to a little baby cobra. Remember, if you're not ready, bend the elbows a lot here. Exhale, tuck the toes toward downward facing dog. And then roll forward to plank. Inhale. Exhale, knees wide, toes untucked, child's pose. Inhale, roll forward, knees together, cobra. Whatever version of cobra you need. Exhale, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. A few more. Inhale to plank. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more rounds. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back to child's. Inhale, forward, cobra. Exhale, to our downward facing. Deep breaths. Inhale, roll forward. Exhale, child's pose. Sink it deep. Inhale, lift and lengthen through cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay there, shake it out. Bounce on the balls of the feet. You want to shake the muscles. Try to get the lymph system draining. And then from there, we're going to pull the heels down, take a nice deep stretch, pushing the chest towards the thigh, pushing the hands into the mat to create more space. And then we'll bend the knees, step or hop to hips distance. Inhale, flat. Exhale to a fold. Inhale, roll it up vertebrae by vertebrae. Palms are going to lift up and overhead. Exhale, hands sink down to your heart. Let's keep moving. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring the elbows down to the knees for a squat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, elbows down to knees. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, hold. Maybe float the toes. I'm sorry, my arm keeps touching my mic. I hope it's not affecting the sound too much. Push the toes down. Inhale, rise. Exhale to a fold. Keep your fold. Shift your hips right to left. I like going wider hands so my body weight can shift more. And try to keep the big toes down especially. And then from there, we'll take the hands to the floor, step it through a plank, and hold your active plank. Shift forward in the body. Make sure you're right on top of the toes. Push the upper back towards the ceiling. If the head is hanging, bring it in line with the shoulders. Now just little steps right to left. Keep the hips level with the shoulders. The core is very active and holding. Every fingertip is pushing down to the floor to support. It's going to make sure our forearms are active, our upper arms, our shoulders, our upper back, our side body, the lats are drawing back. Let's go 2, 1, and then to our downward facing right toes rise. Bend the knee, open the hip, feel a nice stretch on the hip flexors. You're going to exhale, knee to nose, hold. Inhale, right toes up, three-legged. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, three-legged. Exhale, knee to nose and hold. Keep holding, keep holding, keep holding. Bring the right knee down and square to the side of the mat for your Parigasana. So my right foot, my right knee is down, my right foot is down. My left foot, my back foot, I'm going to rotate forward so you can see, is on the floor as well. I'm trying to get the pinky toe down and lift and expand through this hip. So from there, we're just going to add some big sweeping circles with the top arm. Keep on expanding through the top side body. And then we're going to square back forward and let that left arm thread all the way underneath. I'm going to try to protect my mic here. And then just take a little thread. Coming back up to center, let's go back into our Parigasana. So I'm going to square forward again, or square to the side again, and float the top leg. So now you can see this glute is active. Let me get a better angle here. So I want to make sure the rib and hip line is closed, and I can create some circles through the top leg. Squeeze the butt muscles, keep the core tight. Left arm is still up in the air. 3, 2, and 1. And now from that hip line, just lift directly up. Toes are still facing forward, so I'm hitting the outer hip. I'm not extending the toes toward the ceiling. I'm going outer hip to the outer heel, outer edge of the foot. 3, 2, and 1. And then we're going to bring the knee into the chest. And now I'm going to open up towards the sky. So I'm rolling my hip open. I'm getting a nice stretch through the inner thighs, almost like a little baby splits here. And then from there, we'll bring the gaze down, bring the knees back together, and then you can square back up to the mat and shift back into your downward facing dog. Let's bend the knees, step or hop to the top, inhale flat, exhale to a fold, inhale, roll it up, palms lift, exhale, hands to heart, sink it to a squat, elbows to knees, inhale, rise, elbows to knees, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more, hold this one at the bottom. Now try to push into the toes and float the heels. Hug navel to spine, hug the hips together. Keep breathing. Exhale, opposite elbow, forward fold, let the upper body hang. And then we'll take the hands to the mat, inhale flat. Exhale, if you'd like to add a chaturanga here, I lower my knees for a chaturanga, but your version of chaturanga, and meet me in downward facing dog. Anything you need for a moment here in down dog. And then we'll move directly to our left side. Inhale, left toes rise. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip, feel the stretch. Try to keep the shoulders squared to the ground. And then we'll bring the left knee to nose. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, left toes rise. Exhale, squeeze it in. Inhale, rise. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale. Last one, this time we hold, squeeze, use your core, and then lower the front knee. Same thing, we're going to square over to our Parigasana. So you can see this back knee is down, toe is down, and my other leg, my other foot is planted. I'm trying to get that pinky toe to go down to the mat as well. Add some big sweeping circles. Focus on expanding through the top body, the top hip. One more circle here. And then we'll square right arm threads underneath. Feel a nice stretch in the upper back. One more breath. Press the left palm into the floor. Inhale, right palm rises. Go back into your Parigasana. Ribs are closed, so I can focus on that glute. My foot is going to stay on hip line, and I'm going to create a circle. You can go forward or backward or both. Just want to get moving through the hips. And then from there, we're going to go hip line and above. So making sure the toes are still shifting forward, making sure the abs are still crunching in so we can isolate the glute, not overcompensating by creating an arch here. Let's go for 3, 2, and 1. And now I'm going to bind to the inside of the knee and roll everything open. I'm trying to roll the knee towards the sky and push the hips forward to feel that little, a little baby split stretch. And gently releasing, squaring back towards the mat. Let's go through a full vinyasa. Roll forward, your version of chaturanga. Inhale through cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, step or hop to hips distance. Inhale, flat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, palms lift. Exhale, squats again, elbows to knee. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And this time holding at the bottom. Squeeze, press the palms, feel the pecs activating, draw the shoulders together, the scapula together, so the back of the shoulder. Keep breathing, heart stays open. Try to extend the palms up and overhead, more weight into the hips. 2, 1, and now we're sinking it all the way down. If you don't have this range of motion, you can get something to sit on. You can go back to standing. I'm going to just hold for a moment because I work on this range of motion every day. And I swear lately, every day I need to come into this position and I can stand right back up because I've been practicing this consistently for a couple years now. It really makes a difference. So if you're not here yet, don't give up on this practice. This is a really, really important move, foundational move to keep us young and mobile and healthy. From here, we're going to press straight up to stand and then come back down a few times. So you can always start by not going as deep. You can start by using your hands to push away from the floor. You might need to hold on to something up here to start lifting. As I'm coming to a stand, I'm being really active with the push down into the floor. And as I'm pushing down into the floor, my knees are pulling actively inward. My hips are actively pulling inward. I'm hugging everything towards the body to stay nice and strong and active. Let's go one more. And then from standing, inhale, palms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a flat. And then we'll hold in our push-up position and add a few push-ups. So I always keep my knees down just so I can focus more on my push-up. If you want to do a regular push-up, please feel free to. I'm just not really there with my shoulder strength. And then on the last one, we're going to sink right to a puppy's pose. So my hips stay over my knees, my heart comes down, my arms and gaze go forward. Keep breathing. One more breath here. And then exhale, walk the hands back and meet in our downward facing dog. Inhale, right toes rise. Exhale, knee to nose, hold, squeeze, lift and round. And then place the right foot inside the right thumb and bend the back knee so you can unroll the spine into a high lunge. My outfit is slightly falling off. Just adjust all the things here. Adding a little pulse. My hips are hugging together again. My navel's working to my spine. And I have this nice long neutral spine. The core is staying nice and tight. I feel that resistance on the back leg. Try to keep your back heel right over the toes. And then if you want to add on, I'm going to keep my hands on my hips here. I'm going to sink down and just do a little toe tap forward. This is a bigger range of motion. This is a lot more work on the legs and a lot more work with stability and balancing. So again, if you need a moment to hold on to something, maybe walk to a wall, grab a chair, grab a partner, I don't know, whatever you have, whatever's available. 2, last one, we're going to hold. Either this back toe can touch the ground or you can bring the knee up and work on balance. Arms extend out. Active all the way through the body, reaching through the fingertips. Exhale, hands to heart. Left foot crosses above the right knee and sink it to a figure 4. Still working balance. This back hip is flexed. This front foot here is flexed. Squeezing, balancing above the right toes. Taking one more breath. And now bring the left knee back up and extend to a warrior 3, just briefly. Hands down to the floor as you bend the right knee. Step it back to a high lunge. Inhale, rise to high lunge. Exhale, open to a twist, reaching fingertip to fingertip. Keep breathing. And then bring the hands to heart center. Inhale to stand. Exhale, sink it down to our chair pose. Hold. Palms out wide, arms to a 90. Squeeze into the back muscles. We're going to add a lat pull here for 3, 2, and 1. Bring the hands down. Option to bind on the ankle here. Take a little breather. Always a good opportunity to exhale through the mouth to release any energy, any stuck energy, anything you want to get rid of. Okay, let's go through our vinyasa. Always feel free to skip your vinyasa if you feel like you need to. Inhale, left toes rise. Exhale, knee to nose, hold and squeeze, lift and round. And then foot goes inside the left thumb. Back knee is gonna hover, unroll the spine, fix the outfit, check the mic, and then actively hugging everything in, adding your pulse on the back leg. So as I'm doing this, I'm keeping this core super tight. I'm keeping my back heel right over my toes, so my foot is very active. I'm getting a lot of work on the muscles, but I'm also getting this nice stretch on the hip flexors and the thigh because I'm staying nice and tall and stacked above this front or this back leg. Let's go for 3, 2. This leg is definitely more tired than my other. Now, if you want to add on, you can bring the little toe tap forward and back into your lunge. If you struggle on lunging, which I've basically always struggled lunging until I figured out that I need to take my feet wider apart, and you can slightly pivot your back knee and toe towards midline. So you create this little pull towards center, and that'll usually help you. A lot of times people step back and their feet are too much in one line versus train tracks, and that creates a lot of instability. Last one, right toes, if you can't keep them off the mat, maybe pull the knee up, lengthen the arms out, reaching, staying active through the front foot. And then hands to heart, figure 4. So I want to bring the palms together. Use this front side glute muscle. Keep activity in the front foot. Sink it down a little bit deeper. Taking a breath here. And then we'll take it back to our warrior 3 just for a breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend the front knee. Bring the hands down to the floor. Back toes touch. Inhale to our high lunge stance one more time. And exhale, open to your spinal twist. Push and reach. Push through the feet. Reach through the fingertips. Keep holding. Feel the stretch. Feel the expansion through the chest. Use the back muscles to create more space in the front body. And then exhale, hands to heart. We're going to come straight forward to our chair pose and stay here this time. Just the toes are going to walk. So we want all the way back into the glutes. The toes are opening and coming back to center. If you do a lot of squat work, you can also bring the toes a little bit more towards midline. Now, I'm not going too far to midline, just a little bit to get some internal rotation. If that puts any pressure on your knees, go ahead and go back to a neutral stance. I do a lot of knee work, so I'm comfortable doing this one, but you check in with your body and make the decision for yourself. Hi, into Malasana, heels in, toes out. Sink it down. Elbows go right to the inside of the thigh, or the like the crease of the knee here. And then just push the elbows wide as you lean forward into the palms for a stretch. We're gonna unroll onto the back here, and we're gonna practice a little ab work and then add some coordination with the abs and the hips into our Malasana. So unrolling to make sure, I'll go sideways. The navel's pulling in and the back is suctioning down to the floor. Bring the feet up. You want heel, knee, knee, hip, all in a nice 90-degree. Now, super important that if there's space here, we won't be doing this ab work correctly. Making sure there's no space underneath the back. Then you're actively extending one heel and pulling it back to a 90. If you created low space or space in the low back, pull everything back in and together. Sometimes it helps to think about hips and ribs pulling together tight. And then we're also going to take the palms up and extend the same side arm. So as you extend the leg, you're also extending the same arm. For the last few, check in with the low back. Maybe you can go doubles, extend and pull in. Squeeze the core. 2, last one. Hold, squeeze. 2, hands behind the head, toes pointed. Straight cross to bicycle. Check it with the low back space. Go for a couple more. And then we'll bring the toes straight up in the air. You can relax the head down, squeeze the legs together, and just start lifting the hips off the floor. Now, if your legs are shooting way back, we're not using the deep belly muscle. We want to shoot straight up towards the ceiling and feel the deep belly muscles working. Just a few of these, and I already feel that deep core working. Keep your navel to your spine. Think about crunching underneath the navel and down towards the pelvis. Let's go for 3, 2, and 1. And then bring it to a Baddha Konasana, a nice butterfly position. You can massage the belly muscles here. And then we'll roll it to one side, or if you're comfortable rolling on the spine, you roll straight up to seated. So from seated position, we're going to practice our rolling back and forward into either a Baddha Konasana here, if you're just beginning, or into a Malasana, feet planted, butt up off the floor. Now, one of the ways to start learning this is just by focusing on bringing the legs and the heels as close as you can get to the body. So as I'm rolling forward, I want to shoot my heels in, and the momentum of that is going to pop my butt up off the floor. So again, if you need to just start at beginner level to get comfortable and familiar with this roll, you just go into your butterfly position. If you're ready to start working to Malasana, heels close to the body, you can see how I'm kind of chopping my feet down. And then once the momentum brings the body weight over the feet, you can hold. So you need the upper body to shift forward enough that the weight stacks and you can balance. My hands are reaching forward to help me with that. If you can go all the way to stand, it's important to make sure you get that weight shift over the feet first here, and then you just push straight up like the move we were practicing before. Let's go for one more, whichever version you're doing. And then you can meet me on the back. Legs up into the air, pull the hips down, active flex through the toes. Now pull your navel to your spine, feel the deep belly muscles activating. Hands to the belly, just take a few deep breaths here. Try to keep the back glued to the floor. And then we'll exhale, bend the knees, roll it up through center, cross the ankles if you need to, go to one side. And let's go through a few just regular vinyasas. So I'm gonna roll forward to plank, bend the knees if you'd like, lower through chaturanga, inhale through cobra, and exhale toward downward facing. Bend the knees, step or hop up, inhale to flat, exhale to fold, inhale, roll it up. Exhale, sink it to chair. We're moving quickly with our breath. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing. Bend the knees, step or hop up. Inhale to flat. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hands to heart. Sink it down as deep as you can go. Inhale, one more, rise. Fold. Inhale, flat. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale through cobra. Exhale through your downward facing dog. Bend the knee, step or hop to the top, and then slowly roll up. We're going to go into one more balanced posture here. So the left foot is going to stay on the ground. I'm going to actually just square towards you. Unroll the left foot so everything is planting and pushing down, and then hand to hip, lock into the core. Right elbow is going to the hip line, palm facing out as if you were holding a tray. Now that right hand is going to catch the inside of the right foot. So my palm is still facing up. I catch. Now I squeeze or hug the knees together. You'll feel some pressure on this arm if you're hugging in. So roll the chest open, the shoulder back. Now you can keep the hand on the hip or take it up and overhead. Notice my knees are staying in line with the hips. I'm not going to let it splay open. You want to kick the foot towards the ceiling. Use your glute muscles and then lift the palm towards the ceiling, or if your hand's at the hip, lift the sternum, the heart towards the ceiling. Try to keep hugging the hips to center. Keep the gaze, your drishti in one spot for balance. The toes are still working down to the floor. Let's take one more inhale here. And then exhale, bend the standing leg, bring the right knee back in, and we're going to extend to a trikonasana. So the foot goes back. My front heel is in line with the back arch. Inhale, front arm extends to a reverse trikonasana. And then exhale all the way down to whatever version you need. It can be here, or it can be all the way to the ground. Maybe gaze to the side or up. this front thigh, that inner thigh is rolling towards the ceiling. Take one more deep breath here. And then exhale, bend the front knee. You're in a low lunge stance. And add some movement front to back. Now you can either shift forward and just kind of honk the front foot forward, or you can use this momentum to fly straight up into a warrior three and then sink down to a chair pose. So meet me here and hold. We're going to move on to our other side, but first let's get one more vinyasa in. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale to flat. Exhale through your chaturanga. Cobra. Downward facing. Bend the knees, step or hop up. Inhale to a flat. Exhale, squeeze yourself to your thighs and slow roll to rise. Moving on to our other side. Now it's the right foot that is planting. Unroll the foot all the way through the toes. You're going to bring right hand to hip to begin, left palm open. So I catch the inside of the foot, and then I squeeze everything energetically to midline. Now, if you want to keep your hand here, great, or up to the sky. Kick the heel towards the sky, reach and extend, hard up, keeping the chest open. Remember, not splaying out, but holding in line with the hips. Woo, that threw me off a little bit. Find your glute muscles to keep lifting. Roll the chest open. Taking another deep breath here. One more inhale. And then exhale, slowly bend the front knee. I'm going to have to re-square to my mat. But as I release, I'm going to square up, front heel in line with the back arch. Inhale to your reverse. And then exhale, Trikonasana, whatever version you took on the other side. Make sure that bottom hip, the thigh is rolling up towards the ceiling. It's very hard to move my hands and talk at the same time as I'm doing yoga. Check in with the big toe. I have a really high arch, so my tendency is to always fall to the outside. So I really have to focus on that big toe pushing down to the ground. Maybe if you have more of an inside internal rotation in your foot, you probably have to focus more on the pinky toe grounding down. One more breath here. As we exhale, next we bend the front knee, lower the back, find your low lunge stance, and then any movement front to back will finish off this side. And then whichever version you took on the other side, either doing a little hop with the foot forward, using the hands, or using the momentum to fly yourself forward to a warrior three. And then exhale to chair pose and hold. Let's heel toe the feet all the way together this time. Squeeze everything with the legs. Pull the pelvic floor in. Pull your navel to your spine. Left thumb over the right, palms up. Sink the hips. Inhale. And exhale, release hands to the floor. Shake it out. Take the hands to the floor, quadruped. We're going to move into a deeper hip stretch just for a few breaths. And it's going to look similar to a child's pose, but it's going to be kind of like a mixture, a hybrid of child's pose and frog pose. So from this side angle, child's pose would be here, my hips pushing back, toes together. But to do this kind of frog version of child's pose, I actually want the hips moving forward. So my feet are going to be together still, my knees, I'm going to walk even wider. I'm already feeling a stretch with this wide knee, and I'm just going to start shifting forward and bringing the hips down. As I shift forward, I roll to the inside of the knee joint. So there's no pressure on the knee. My toes are still together, still working my lower leg down to the floor. But now I feel a deep inner thigh stretch there, all the way through the groin. And we'll just hold for a few breaths. Try not to let the hips just hang without the support of the core, keeping those deep belly muscles active. And as you can see, my head is hanging again, so I'm going to go ahead and roll it up in line with the shoulders. I have a bad tendency to always droop my head, and then my neck gets so tired. So just pay attention to that during your yoga practice. Let's do one more breath here. And then carefully exhale, walk the hands back, bring the hips up, and let's go to center seated. Let's do a little spinal twist to finish class off with. I'm going to start by doing some rotations in the low body, so a little windshield wipe with the knees. I try to get my knee down to the center of the floor, the center of my mat, and keep the chest open wide. And then we'll come back through center. Actually, one more thing for the low back here. Let's go into a wide straddle. Lift up your butt so you're right on top of the bones of the sits bones. As you lean forward, we're going to keep the toes lifting. And if this is enough stretch, stay here. If you want to add some movement through that low spine, it's going to take the stretch a lot deeper for you. It's going to adjust the low spine area. And it kind of feels funky at first. It's a very limited movement because most of us have very tight low backs and hips. So it's hard to find this movement, but just move around with it. Keep breathing and try to soften into the hips. Last one, if you'd like to go to the floor, just release. And then we'll unroll and bring right foot towards the left side of the body and left foot towards the right side of the body. Now we're going to twist. You can bring the knee close. You can squeeze it in towards the chest depending on your hip mobility. And as I'm pushing the sits bones down, I'm lifting and lengthening from the crown, trying to get this front toe to touch the floor. And now to go deeper to the twist, I'm just going to wrap my right arm around the left leg. And the left arm is just going to open behind. If this side hip popped up, keep working it down, breathing and creating space. One more inhale. Exhale, go deeper with your twist. And then chin to chest, let's unroll through center. Let the legs release and take a few rolls through the neck. Coming back through, switch our legs out. So now left heel to right hip, right heel to left hip. So getting in that bottom, sits bones to the floor, pulling the leg close to the body if you can, pressing the big toe to the floor. Now my left arm wraps the right leg, my right arm opens up for the deeper twist. If you can roll the shoulder open, maybe keep that sits bone down, take some big deep breaths. Try not to round in the spine here. Stay nice and tall. That's what's creating the space. If we round, we close off the belly in the front space. We keep lifting and breathing. One more big inhale. Exhale, twist a little farther. And then coming back through center, chin down, adding some rolls. And all the way through to whatever posture you would like. You can go to your back, you can go to your belly. I always enjoy finishing my practice on my belly and in a Supta Baddha position. So reclined butterfly position. You can let the hips shake out, the legs shake out here. You can take your hands to your hip bones and press into the muscles, press into the flesh around the hips. If you're on your belly, you can do the same thing, but on the low back space. You just take your hands to your low back and massage around there. And if there's anything else you'd like to finish with your practice today, take a moment to do that. When you're ready to come into full Shavasana, we're going to enjoy about a minute or two of just sitting quietly and breathing. Checking in with the body. Doing a little body scan and noticing if there's any tension still holding in the shoulders and the jaw and the belly and the hips. And if you can still feel tension in any of these areas, just energetically thinking about releasing, letting go, letting the energy move out of the area. As if you were just melting into the floor. The body is heavy. The muscles are hanging off the bones. The floor is there supporting, taking the weight of the body so that you don't have to hold on to anything. Feel free to stay in your Shavasana, in your resting pose. If you are ready to come up, you can roll to one side for a breath, and then gradually make your way to a seated position. And once you're in seated, one more little body scan and commit to yourself that the rest of the day, the rest of the night, whatever you had ahead of you, whatever you have ahead of you, we're going to commit to keeping the tension out of the body, the tension out of the shoulders. We can always, if we're getting flustered, come back into this space. Just take a moment in the mind to remember what this space feels like. Taking a deep breath, inhale. Exhale, let it go. Thank you for joining me on my mat today, and I'll see you next time on the House of Chi.